in US politics at Queen Mary University in London. He joins me in London. Now, this is really straightforward, isn't it? Let's deal with this call for the Electoral College. As I'm sure as long as you can remember, people have been saying, well, popular vote versus electoral vote, it doesn't really work. But nobody can find a way to change it.
That's right. The last time that the Constitution was amended to try and fix some elements of the Electoral College was in the early 19th century with the 12th Amendment. We've heard, talk about amending the Constitution, which is what you would need to do to change the Electoral College after the 2000 election, after 2016, and nothing came of it. There is one way around it, though, which is that the state legislatures could actually pass legislation that says that they will cast their Electoral College votes to the popular vote winner. And if you can get states that add up to 270 electoral votes, which is a majority, you could actually kind of bypass the Electoral College. And there is some effort to do that in the States. We're not at 270 yet, but that probably is the most likely way that you could get around the Electoral College.
The January 6th, there's two aspects to this. Again, firstly, it's going to be disbanded by the new Republican-controlled House. And I guess, what's left for it to do on that? And then you've got a whole slew of new inquiries and investigations galore. How brutal is it going to get?
Well, there's going to be a big change now with the House going over to the Republicans. And, I think we should brace ourselves and expect a series of investigations now into the Biden presidency. And I think that this is going to be a big challenge for President Biden as to how to navigate those. There's, quite rightly, there was a lot of criticism against Donald Trump for not really engaging with the January 6th committee. Biden now is going to have to navigate how he deals with what he may view as fairly spurious investigations into his own presidency in the months to come.
If the new emboldened Republicans in the House decide to press forward with impeachment proceedings against, even just on a tit-for-tat basis, they'll go nowhere, of course, because the Senate has now been held by, the Senate as the court of hearing, has now been held by the Democrats. So an enormous amount of what we're going to hear is literally bluster.
I think that's right. And I think that we have to now, this is a process that's been happening, when there's been divided government for a number of decades now. We saw it during the Bill Clinton presidency. We saw it a little bit in the tail end of the George W. Bush presidency. We saw it through most of Obama's presidency. But it's become much more intense now, which is that parties, when the opposition party is in control of one of the chambers in Congress, they use that position to undermine the presidential administration of the day. And that seems to be much more of the focus than trying to build some kind of bipartisan legislative coalition.
So as we look forward, has the 2024, get my dates right, has the 2024 presidential election de facto begun?
Yes, I think it has. I often say after the midterm elections, we're already in presidential campaign mode. And I think you can already see that, obviously, with Donald Trump declaring his presidency, but also from significant Republican governors like Ron DeSantis or Greg Abbott, who are now engaging in kind of these high-profile stunts to raise their national profile and their profile within the Republican Party. I will say I think Joe Biden is in a fairly strong position in the sense of his ability to hold onto the Democratic nomination. I think earlier in his presidency, there was some doubt whether he'd face a significant challenge in a Democratic primary. I think that's less likely now. I think he's had a good year. He's had a legislatively productive year. And I think that he's probably put off some of the naysayers against his presidency.
So, this is always a tricky one. How does he get over the fact he looks old? I sort of was watching him, the president, I mean, regardless of his mental acuity, I was watching him with President Zelensky. And, the words that keep just coming back to me are Kennedy's. The torch has been passed to a new generation born in this century tempered by war. But then you see President Biden, who you almost want to offer a chair to.
Yeah, and it's something he can't escape. He's, Joe Biden was born before Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton. He's older than all of his those four predecessors. He first entered national politics when Richard Nixon was president. I would say that that's going to be something that will be a challenge against him. I think that he's not demonstrated any particular incident where he's been unable to fulfill the duties of the presidency because of his age, not in any way that we've seen. But yes, he does look old. He is old. And, I think that's going to be something that he'll probably have to carefully manage. He probably won't be campaigning quite in the same vigorous fashion as a younger candidate. And that could be to his detriment in a general election against perhaps a younger Republican nominee.
Good to see you, sir. I'm grateful. Thank you. The newsroom has much more for you. Russia's military has been expanding their presence in the Arctic Circle, an area of vital importance to Russia's defense strategy. We'll show you why. And an uncontrollable COVID outbreak in